while. So that'll be good. Yesterday we saw the really fascinating and strange story of a man whose wife died and he had an infant, and he couldn't afford a wet nurse. And so he was a miracle happened, and he was able to nurse the child himself. Interestingly, that occurs here in the Talmud Bavli. There's a parallel to this in Bereshit Rabbah, where it's not a random person, but actually Mordechai. And he could not find a wet nurse for Esther. And so a miracle happened, and he was able to feed Esther himself. So the earlier version of this relates it to Mordechai and Esther. So that's a very interesting trivia. Remember that for next Purim. Okay,
What's the question? Who nursed Esther?
Well, yeah, I guess the question is, what is the relationship between them? Are they, were they married, or were they a uncle and niece? And so, yeah, we could. I mean, I didn't look there to see what the context is, but here we are. Just give me a second to find the right place. Okay, here we are. We're page 54. Harechelim yotzot kivulot. Mishnah said that ewes, and I'm not supposed to say ewes, but I think in this case it's okay. May not go out kivulot. What does kivulot mean? So this is my kivulot shemechabelin aliyah shelahen lemata kedei shelo ya'alu alehem hazecharim. That they would bind the tails of the females down so that the males would not be able to mate with them. This binding, this rope that you put on it, is considered carrying, and so you cannot allow the animal to wear this outside, even because you are responsible for your animal not doing melacha as well, and this is considered carrying. It's not something that keeps the animal warm, it's not something the animal needs or wants, it's something that you want, and so that's considered carrying. My mashma deha kabul, Talmud asks, why does it call the word tied up, kabul, lishna delaved perehu, and what way does that mean that it will not mate, that it will not have a child, that will not produce fruit? And how does the word kabul relate to that? We derive it from a pasuk, dichtiv, mahe arim ha'ela shenatata li achi, vayikra lahen eres kabul ad hayom hazeh. In the beginning of Sefer Melachim, King Shlomo gives to Hiram in the north cities in exchange for wood and people to work with the wood. He sends them cities, which was a problem that King Shlomo gave up land, right? Land, we know land for peace, but not for pieces of wood. Anyway, he gives it to them, and then Hiram complains about these cities and says, what are these? These are no good. So my eretz Kabul, Amar Rav Huna shayu bnei Adam shemechubalin bekesef ubazahav. That they were, why is it called that? Because the people had so much, they were bound with silver and gold. Amad le Rava yachi hainu dichtiv ki lo yashiru be'ainav mipnei shemechubalin bekesef ubazahav lo yashiru be'ainav. Hold on, that doesn't make sense. If the people there had so much gold and silver, and Shlomo gave to Hiram those cities, he should be happy to receive the cities. Why did he complain about the quality of the cities? Yes, indeed, because the people were so rich and spoiled, he couldn't get them to do any work. He couldn't control them, and so these were bad cities. He would rather get cities with poor people. In this one line, you have the entire political philosophy of how to be a good dictator, right? Keep the people poor, and then you can control them better. And so King Hiram wanted to have more control and didn't want aristocrats in his country, and so that's why he rejected this city. Anyway, the word mechubalin is bound up there in that pasuk, the people bound up. That's one interpretation. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar, a second interpretation, Eretz Chomtin Haita. It was sandy. That's what the word means. Kabul. So how does Kabul mean sandy? I don't know. I'm thinking of Kabul in Iraq, right? Maybe it's a sandy place, but this would have been. I think this is would have been too far east. This would have been more farther north than that. The mistaged targa ba kara ad kabbalah. It means that it was so sandy that when people walked there, their legs would sink into their up to their ankle, and that's a kabbalah. Is you say how do you say ankle? So that's why it was called that. And people would say it's a sandy place or place that that your feet sink into, and you can't plant anything. It doesn't produce fruit, and that's why it calls the sheep mechubalot, because when their tail is tied down, they also don't produce fruit. All right, that has to do with those. But now we have the other case, kibunot. What's kibunot? A sheep cannot go out with its wool all tied around, all covered up to protect it. Melat is the finest wool. That was very expensive. 200. David would know the best wool. Keditnan se'et kesemer lavan. My semer lavan. Why is it called that? Amara bevay bar Abaye kesemer naqi ben yomo shemechabenin oto lemelat. As soon as the lamb is born, they would cover it entirely so that it wouldn't get dirty and wouldn't get damaged. And then as it grew and grew, that would be the finest wool. So if you do that, the animal is allowed, according to Tanakama, to go outside with it because that will keep it warm. And so it's allowed to carry that around. Ha'izim, next case in the Mishnah was ha'izim yotzot serurot. She-goat have their udders bound up. Ittema Rav amad halacha kerebi Yehuda, Shmuel amad halacha kerebi Yosef. If we remember, maybe I'll just bring up the Mishnah quickly to remind ourselves. Here, chamor. Right. What can it go out with, and what can animals not go out with? And so we had three opinions. The first opinion said, in all these cases, the animals can go out with all these. Actually, the tie would be okay, according to Tanakama. It's tied up, the tail down, covered up is fine. All these are okay, according to Tanakama. The Yosef said they're all not allowed, except for this one, except for the one where you're covering the wool. That's the only one that's actually keeping it warm, so it will be allowed. So he's machmir. The Yehuda is also machmir, and he says the one that's this one regarding the udders. It depends when. If it's to dry it out, that's okay because they're covered tight. You want to dry out the milk. If it's if you want to save the milk and you're covering it so the milk doesn't spill, then that's not okay because it's going to be loose. That was what the Mishnah said. And here the Amoraim are now giving their psak halacha. Rav says halacha kerebi Yehuda regarding that. The Yehuda is the one that said in some cases it's allowed. Shemuel says halacha kerebi Yosef. He said it's never allowed to cover up the udders. And so, right, Shemuel is the machmir one here. Rav is mekel. Again, Rav and Shemuel, we see them a lot in this perek. They seem to have studied and thought about this one. This perek often. So that's one version of Rav and Shemuel. That's how they taught their opinion. The second version, it says the same thing, but in different words. Some people think that they said we should say their statements by themselves, not in relation to the Tanaim of the Mishnah, but rather in terms of the content. Rav said you can do it too. Dry out the milk, but not to conserve the milk. And Shmuel said neither of them are allowed. They're exactly the same thing, so I think it's interesting that they're recording both. I guess there were different students, and some recorded it one way, and some recorded it the other way, but the content is the same. The Talmud wants to bring it both ways. And here's yet even the third way of bringing it. Some apply it to a baraita. It says, That's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. But then Rabbi Yehuda ben Betera, different Rabbi Yehuda, says, says, you're right. The truth is you could be mekel in the case where you want it to dry up. But who's going to be able to distinguish between the type of covering you use for one and the other? You won't be able to tell. It's too confusing. So we kind of make a gezerah and say none of them are allowed. So both should be. The letter of the law, you're right, but let's be machmir. That's the Baraita. Amar Shemuel, our Amora, Amrila Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shemuel. Either Shemuel said himself or his student said in his name, which really is the same thing. Halacha ke Rabbi Yehuda ben Betera. That is the halacha. And so you see that Shemuel is machmir. Not in essence. The letter of the law, he actually agrees with Rav and agrees with Mekel, but in the practical halacha l'maaseh, he should be machmir. Yatarabin Amar Rabbi Yochanan halacha kitanakama. Rabin, when he came from Israel to Bavel, he quoted his teacher, Rabbi Yochanan, who said, Tanakama, that says it's allowed in either case. You're allowed to, any kind of coverings are allowed. He's the most mekel. So between our three major Amoraim, right, now Rabbi Yochanan, Israel, and Rabbi Shimon Bavel, they each take one of the three opinions in the Mishnah. Right, so you see how the controversies continue. Halacha l'maaseh is the middle opinion. That some are allowed and some are not allowed. So next time your cow needs to dry out, you'll know what to do. All right, now we got a new Mishnah. So we already that was about the ones that are allowed. These are the animals that may not go outside. Lo yaseh gamal bim tultelet, lo akud velo ragul, v'chen sha'ar kol habehemot. Okay, a mitultelet is basically the same thing as a saddle cloth that we saw already before. It's a picture here for you. Okay, a mitultelet, a saddle cloth. Although we're going to see that it seems to be tied on underneath in a different with a contraption, one under the belly, one in front, one in back. Just keep that in mind. So that's one thing that's not allowed. And the second thing is akud. Akud means when you tie the front leg to the back leg, right? Because you don't want it to run away. So you tie it like this. That's called akud. Ragul is when you take its front leg and tie it up, right? Which, camels are jointed that way. It might be hard for it to stand on one leg for very long, but also because you don't want it to go away. Another opinion is going to say it means you've tied the two front legs together or the two back legs together. So we'll see that in a second. And that's true for other animals as well. That means that you don't take them like in a caravan, one after the other. You're not allowed to do this on Shabbat. Rather, if you want to pull them, you should do it like this. Right? Take the leashes of each one in your hand, and that would be okay. And you're allowed to do that, but only if you don't tie them around your hand while you are pulling them all. Okay, so very specific ways of leading your camels. This actually is halacha l'maaseh, is practical if people are walking dogs and leashes, maybe they're walking multiple dogs. So this has practical use. Okay, that's the Mishnah. Tana, lo yaseh gamad b'mtutel tekeshura lo biznavo, aval yoseh b'mtutel tekeshura biznavo u'b'chotarto. When Tosefta qualifies and says you're only not allowed to go with a saddle cloth when it's tied to the tail alone, but if it's tied both to the tail and to the hump, then it's tied on securely. It won't fall off. You don't have to worry that it'll fall off, and then the owner will pick it up and carry it. So it's better if it's tied on well. Okay, this is a little bit different from the donkey before. Which it
was the opposite. Yeah,
it was the opposite, right? I'm guessing because the donkeys usually you put this on to carry loads, and so you're tying it this way to make sure it carries a load. I guess a camel, because it has a hump, it'll fall off more if you don't tie it this way. The donkey will stay on enough with one strap, and the other straps are only showing you want to put a load on it. right? So each animal has its own details. אמר רבה רב הונא, יוסר גמל במטוטלת כשורה לה בשלייתה. If it's tied to its afterbirth, I'm not sure how that works. I don't know why it's staying there for so long. But okay, ask someone. I'm sure this is based on some actual reality, because you can't just make this stuff up. And that would be painful for it, and so it would not shake it off. So if it's tied to the afterbirth, then you can take it out, and it's not considered carrying. Okay. Lo akud velo ragul. Amar Rav Yehuda akud akedat yad veregel ki Yitzchak ben Avraham. Right. So this is tying the hand to the leg together. I showed you in the picture, like Yitzchak was. So it's called akedat Yitzchak because he was bound that way. This is very interesting. I don't know if we ever thought about exactly how was Yitzchak bound. And I would assume like legs together, arms together. I don't know. I never really pictured it. Interestingly, in ancient art, like from Dura Europos, and the mosaic floors in the Galilee on synagogue floors, right, all have pictures of Akedat Yitzchak, and he's not bound this way in those synagogues, even though the synagogues come from the time of the Amoraim. So I'm not sure why they imagined it this way, but anyway, maybe just because of the word association.
How was he bound in that ancient artwork?
I don't know. Maybe we'll take a few minutes after and go check those pictures. I think he's just bound to the altar itself, but I'm not sure. I have to look more carefully. Ragul, so that's akuv. Ragul shekof yado al gabe zera'o v'ikshor. The bottom of the leg to the top of the leg, as in the first picture there. Metibe. Wait, hold on. That was the opinion of Rav Yehuda, but we have a baraita that says a different definition. Akud the same. Shetei yadayim u'shtei raglayim. Well, that's different, right? Akud, he says, means the two legs or two hands. Ragul shelo yakof yado al gabe zera'o v'yikshor. That one's the same, but akud is different. So Huda amar ki haytana. So Rav Yehuda must follow a different baraita. The different other baraita says akud means akedat yad v'regel o shetei yadayim u'shtei raglayim. Akud, according to this baraita, could mean any combination, either the two front legs or a front leg and a back leg. That's all called akud. And ragul shekof yado al gabe zera'o v'yikshor. Ragul is always the same. And so the Rav Yehuda is not following the first baraita, but the definition of the second baraita. Hold on, the Gemara says, "Vakati ladameh bishlomaresha v'sefanicha metziat hakashya." Even in the second baraita has an additional definition that Rav Yehuda didn't say. It did say the front and back together, but not the two front ones or the two back ones. So it's not exactly the same. Ella huda amar ki haytana akud akedat yad veregel ki Yitzchak ben Avraham. We found a third baraita that says almost the exact same words that Rav Yehuda actually said. Okay, so it sounds like there are many baraitot that are being transmitted, and different people have different collections of baraitot and are remembering them, and we finally find one that fits with Rav Yehuda. It must be the one that he learned as well. The next part of the Mishnah says, gemalim. My tama, why can't you tie one camel to another like in a caravan style? Because then it looks like you're going to the marketplace. When you go to the marketplace, that's how you do it. I guess you want to show them off. And some people say it comes from the word hag or hajj. Maybe it's a party and going in circles, dancing in circles. So that's not if you're just going for a walk, then that's not the normal way to do it. So people will think that you're going to sell them, and that would be business, and that's not allowed. Rather, you have to hold them all in your hand. Machnis. Amar Rav Asher lo shenu ela le'inyan kil'ayim. Okay. Now. Right. Okay. You're allowed to do them. You're allowed to put it together as long as you don't. Right. Back to the Mishnah. Yeah. As long as you don't yichroch, as long as you don't intertwine them. So why can't you intertwine them is the question. And he says it's because of kil'ayim. So Rav Asher says that. Kil'ayim demai. What do you mean? What kind of kil'ayim? Ilem kil'ayim de adam. Is it the problem that you can't take different species and plow together? right? Because then the stronger animal will push ahead and the weaker animal will have to work too hard. It's the Sar Balei Chaim. And the same is true for a human and an animal. You can't put a human and an animal working together. And now if the person is holding the ropes of the various camels and he ties these tied to them, perhaps that is called kil'ayim. But there's a Mishnah that says that's not a problem. You can put a person. The person is not considered a diverse species regarding this, regarding kilayim. Ela kilayim the chavalim. Rather, it's kilayim of clothing, wool and linen. So some of the ropes that are you're holding the camels, some of them are wool, some of them are linen, and now you're tying them together. Now you have a problem of kilayim. But we have another. This says Tanya, but it's actually a Mishnah. So it really should be Tanan. Sometimes the terminology that we're used to is not completely consistent. It's a lot more consistent in printed editions. In older manuscripts, it's less consistent. And here's one that got away from the editors. So it really is a Tanya, although it refers to a Mishnah. The Mishnah says if you take wool and linen and make only one knot, that's okay. It's not considered together, so it's not kilayim. So here you have all the strings. Even if you make one knot, or if you make no knots, if you just tie, just wrapping it around, it should not be considered kilayim. So we answer the olam kilayim the habalim. When the Mishnah says as long as you don't wrap it around, it means wrapping it around and tying it, kind of assuming that you're going to tie it so that you'll make sure not to let go of the camels, and that's why you would not be allowed to put them all together. Amar Shemuel u'bilvad shelo yaseh hebel mitachat yado tefach. Okay, Shemuel's adding another ruling that when you're holding it, you have to make sure that it does not hang down. You should make sure it doesn't hang down more than the tefach below your hand while you're holding it, because you don't actually need that that extra length. Hold on, we have a Tana. This is not a Tana from the Tanaim, but rather a memorizer from the school of Shemuel. Shemuel's the Amorah. You see, even the Amoraic schools had memorizers who remembered everything in that school, which is really interesting. It sounds like every yeshiva had their own curriculum memorizers, and perhaps no one person knew all of them, but each school had their own curriculum, and everybody knew some of the other school, and that's why we have many different versions of statements. Okay, Shemuel said two tefachim. It can't go below your hand, but more above that, less than that is okay. But here we has said tefach. Which one is it? Amar Abaye hashtad amar Shemuel tefach v'tana deber Shemuel tefachayim. It must be that really the official rule can be two, but she was saying make it one, just to be sure that it's not hanging too much. The problem is that the hanging part you're not actually using to hold the camels, that would just be carrying. Okay, so this would be similar to a leash. A leash is allowed to carry. You are allowed to walk a dog with a leash, but it has to be the appropriate size leash. And here's one more law that would have to do with that. Has to be above the ground one tefach. Tefach is this much, right? 3-4 inches. And this is talking about the length of the rope from your hand to the camel can't be so long that it dips down onto the ground, but it has to be a little bit tight, because otherwise it goes down to the ground, then you're carrying it. Okay. Next Mishnah. En hamor yoseh b'mardat bizman she'ena keshura lo. A donkey cannot go out with the saddle cloth. We're trying all different ones. If it is not tied, this is the opposite of the first Mishnah. First Mishnah said it can go out if it is tied, and now it's saying it cannot go out if it's not tied. That's the way of the Mishnah. It has this parallelism. It likes to give corresponding cases. If you remember the very beginning of the Pedic, I did actually learn from this Mishnah that has to be tied before Shabbat. And it cannot go out with a bell. Often animals, cows especially, go out with a bell to announce that they're there, or maybe bring attention. Do you want to sell them? And so it cannot go out, even if the bell is stuffed up, still can't. Not with a ladder on its side. Here's the ladder. Why would you put a ladder on its side? Not to carry the ladder. I'm thinking
like a splint. No.
A roofer's truck, right? This is the old roofer, right? Is that, you're right? It's a splint that has a wound. Maybe has a wound over here on this leg, right? And you want to make sure that it doesn't gnaw at it with its teeth
Keeps
and
it
make it
stable.
worse. So we put this here to as protection. So that is not allowed. Even though a splint is allowed, this is not a splint.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is because a splint is cheap. If it falls, you leave it there. A ladder is expensive. If it falls off, then you're going to come and carry it. Well, we'll see all that in the Gemara. Okay, and also not a string that's tied around its leg. And chickens also can't go around with strings on their legs or any strap on their feet. We'll see why. And male rams can not go out with a wagon. They had these thick, bushy tails. These are the ropes that you tie around it. Here's a rope you put around a chicken, and or next to its feet. And here, since the rams had these big, bushy tails that were probably really good, for wool, and so they didn't want them dragging on the ground and getting ruined and getting hurt. And so they would attach a little wagon that would carry its big, bushy tail. Isn't that cute? Okay, we'll get to this. And then הרכילים יוצאות חנונות. בין העגל יוצא בגימון. We'll see חנונות has several interpretations. Second, Egel cannot go out with a gimon. Gimon is this little yoke. You put it on when it's young, even though it's not working, to get it used to wearing a yoke. So that when it grows up, it'll like it.
Mm-hmm.
And begimon v'lo para be'or hakupar, and also you can't put a skin of a hedgehog under the udders of a cow, and this would be because other animals might come and try to drink the milk, not its own kids, just other rodents, and so you could protect it with a hedgehog with this pointy skin. Not a strap between its horns. We talked about that, but we'll see it again. Mm-hmm. And then we have a little story. We know him. He's one of the people at the Seder with all the other sages. His cow would go out with a strap, and all the sages were upset about that. All right, we'll see more about that story in just a couple of minutes. Now, my ta'ama, kedamaran, right? The reason for the first one about the saddlecloth is, as we said, it may fall off, and then you'll come to carry it. Velo bezug, pakuk. The bell, mishum demerzek kiman lechinga. Again, if you have the cow with a bell in it, it looks like you're going to sell it, and so that's why. Even if it's not ringing, the bell is a decoration, and the decoration would be there because you want to show it off, to look nice, because you're going to sell it. And so it can't go out with a bell at all, even if it's not ringing. So this is the ladder would be on its neck, so that if it had a wound, it would not be able to turn its neck and scrape at the wound, make it worse. So that means it's a good idea to put the ladder, but it can't go to the Shut Harabim like that on Shabbat. You got to keep it within the fence. So you put the straps around its legs because its strides, if its strides are too close and it's knocking into itself while it's walking, it's prevent injury. So this is just like a little padding, like an ace bandage, to help it out. That's nice to do for the animal, but not on Shabbat in the Shut Harabim. It's really hard to tell between one chicken and the next, and you want to identify them, you put the little tag on them to identify. And they would put these straps on their feet so that they don't break things. Okay, some bumpers, but also they can fall off, so you can't put them on Shabbat. We put the wagon so that its tail won't be injured. But that looks like, right, that wagon would be carrying. It's not more for our benefit than the animal's benefit. So fine, what does chanunot mean? Yatev Rab Acha bar Ula kamed Rav Chestav yatev kama misha shegozizin ota tomnim la ezek beshemen manichin la al paddachta kedei shelo tistanen. When you shear the wool off the animal, it gets cold because you just took off its coat. And so to make it warm, we put some soft wool in warm oil and put it on its forehead, and that keeps it warm. We saw some sheep shearing, remember Z? And it really does. They look like they might be cold. I mean, it was hot out, but you kind of feel like they're naked, right? You want to give them a blanket. So, but put something on their head, and then they will feel better. Rav Chisda exclaims, "Im ken asita mar ukva." Well, then you're treating it better than Mar Ukva. Mar Ukva was the exilarch. He was, rich and important, head of the Jewish community in exile, Resh Galuta. So he says, you're treating it like a spa. You put, you have oil and you put it on his forehead. You're doing that for a sheep. That doesn't make sense. This is really a real luxury, even for a human being. So he rejects that. So the student of Rav Chisda is sitting, and he's offering an explanation. Because when the animal is giving birth, same thing. You put some oil on a pad on its forehead and on its womb, and it will help it give birth. If so, you're treating her like Yalta, who is Rav Nachman's wife, also a descendant from the Resh Galuta, who gets the best treatment. So again, this is a spa treatment that is fitting only for the woman of luxury, and not something you would do for an animal. So this too is rejected as a definition. There's a certain type of tree. It's called the Chanun tree. And we take a splinter from this tree and we put it in its nose to make the animals keep sneezing. And that's good for the animal because it sneezes out the worms that are there. And so we do that for the animal's benefit. And how come only the females? Why don't you do that for the males too? The Mishnah only mentioned the females. The males are always fighting each other and bumping heads, and then they fall out that way, so they don't need this treatment. No, not that kind of tree. It's talking about a different kind of tree, a broom tree. Okay. That's why it's called hanunot, because we're doing something that's merciful, that's good for the animal. I'm sorry, for the first opinion of Huna, it's called Chanun because it's a Chanun tree. But for the other one, that's a different kind of tree. Why do you call it Chanun? Because we're doing something merciful for the animal. So, great. So we do all these things. Anyway, this is very nice to do for the animal, but it cannot walk in the Reshut Rabim with this chip attached to it. Okay, next. This is talking about a calf, a young animal with a small yoke to get it used to bearing a yoke. In what way does gimon mean that your head should go down? I mean, the yoke makes your head heavy and go down, as it says in Yeshaya, the Haftarah that we say on Yom Kippur, right? Is this what Hashem says? Is this what I want? That you should keep bowing down like a bulrush, right? And waving in the wind. So you see that means bowing down. So that other creeping animals don't go and drink the milk, we put the hedgehog's skin over the udders, and has pointy scales so that the animals won't want to go and get it. Will stay away. That it cannot go out with a strap. You make a holes in its two horns, and put a strap through, and that way you can secure the animal. And we saw above that there's a machloket about this. Rav was machmir about it and said, it doesn't matter whether the strap is there for security or for decoration. It's not allowed in either case. Shmuel was more mekel. If it's just for decoration, it's not allowed. But if it's to secure the animal, then it's permitted. And finally, we have the story, and then we're almost done. Parato shel Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. What do you mean? The cow of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah? He had only one cow that he did this. That he put the strap with. He said he gave Maaser 12,000 calves every year. That was from Maaser. That means he had 120,000. He had a huge farm. What do you mean his one? No, it wasn't his. His animals, he had a big, huge farm. He did it the right way. But he did have a neighbor who had one cow. And that neighbor put a strap through its horns and would take it outside in the Reshut Harabim on Shabbat. And Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah knew the neighbor and should have went to the neighbor and explained to him that this is not permitted. And he didn't. And therefore, the sin of the neighbor is accounted on his account. On his account. Rav, well, it's better than him doing it himself, right? So we want to save the reputation of the Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Rav Rabbi Chanina, Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Chabiba matnu. So these sages taught, and now here are parentheses. Whenever we have this group, instead of Yochanan, you should read Yonatan. Yonatan. It gets switched up in manuscripts all the time. It's very, very difficult to keep track of them. So anyway, it's just giving a note that in general, when they're together, it should be Yonatan, not Yochanan. Okay, good. Obviously, this is a later, insertion that's giving an editorial comment. Call me back to the regular programming. Call me Chef Shalom Achot Anshe Beto V'Lo Micha Nitpas Al Anshe Beto Anshe Beiro Nitpas Al Anshe Iro Bechol Ha'olam Kulo Nitpas Al Kol Ha'olam Kulo. Right, fantastic Musad. Someone who could have protested, who could have done something to help out and make sure people did not do the wrong thing, if it's for your family, or whether it be for your city, or the whole world, and you didn't do it, then that person is held responsible. And so we are responsible not only for our direct actions, but even for things that we are passive about that we could have done. All right, that's tremendous responsibility. And the Resh Galuta, we already had him, we had him just now about how luxurious his life was. And so now we're thinking, we all want to be like Resh Galuta. We get oil treatments on our foreheads all the time. But it comes with a lot of responsibility. The responsibility of the whole world is on his head because he has such power. Yeshaya says, God is going to bring judgment on the elders, on the heads. It's talking about the elders who are wise people who know better, and they should have told the sarim, those in charge, what they should do in order to be responsible. Let's just do one more paragraph because it's the same topic. Rav Yehuda Yatev. Rav Yehuda was sitting before his teacher Rav, and the woman kept coming and she kept complaining And Shmuel ignored her. אמר לה, לא סבל למר, אותם אוזנו מזעקת דל, גם הוא יקרא ולא יענה. And so the student says, Shmuel, aren't you worried about this pasuk in Mishle, that if you ignore the cries of someone who's in need, and you will also cry out in need? אמר לה, שיננה רשך בקרירה, רשע דרשך בחמימה. So he's referring to himself as the big-toothed one. I guess Shmuel had big teeth. And so he says, listen, maybe I'll be punished in cold water. But the head of the Resh Galuta, Marukva, who we met before, he'll be punished in hot water, right? Because he's in charge of everything. That's where the phrase comes from. Yeah, you're in hot water now. From here. So I'm ignoring him, but I'm subordinate. It's never good to be in charge of everything. דכתיב בית דוד, כה אמר אדוני, דינו לבוקר משפט ועשינו גזור מיד עושק, פן תסך אש חמתי ובערה, ואין מכבה מפני רוע מעליהם. And so the house of David has to be careful because God will bring judgment and it will be hot like fire. And this shows that the punishment against those who are in charge, who can do a better job and don't, is even worse than someone who cannot do anything about it. Okay, fantastic. Tomorrow we have some of my favorite agadot coming up. Some really interesting things.
I have a question.